Howdy everyone, Pocho here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're going to cover the basics of the Gates of Doom raid coming out shortly. This will be the first time we're exposed to the new Gates of Doom. It is very different from the old one. There are 4 different difficulty levels. I will show you the maps, the teams you're allowed to use, and the lanes that you are able to take. If you are interested in the maps, if you want to use them for your clans, there is a link to my Discord server in the description below of the video. Please, by all means, go and join that server. In the announcements channel, I will post those maps. Even if you don't want to stay in the channel, that's fine. Just get the maps, get out. I encourage it. Okay, so let's jump into it. We'll go over it from easiest to hardest and everything you need to know. Okay, so Gates of Doom 1 is going to require 9,000 portal stones to enter. And as you can see, there's 4 points of entry for this raid. Now, in my last video, I made the mistake of identifying these nodes as power level, but this is the points you earn for killing them. The power level is calculated different, but at the same time, this goes to show you what type of strength the nodes will hold. Obviously, the bosses being stronger. So you've got your 4 paths at the bottom. The green color is going to have demons and Roland allies as the characters you're able to use to clear these nodes. The purple side is kobolds and Roland allies. So just one swap in the dark faction with Roland allies. So as a new player starting out this raid, these are pretty common characters to be collecting to begin when beginning the game. So you should have access to these. Moving up, you have the boss. You have Bee Priest and Worm Priest, so Blood Priest and Worm Priest, and then you can see they've added Children of the Forest and Arrakan Undead to these 2 nodes. So Worm Priest is going to have the Arrakan Undead as a usable faction, and the Blood Priest is going to have Children of the Forest. Moving up into these 2 colors, you have Demons, Roland allies, and again they've just added 2 more factions to your side, so giving you a more variety of characters to use. Going up to the 2 bosses at the top, you have Dragonkin, Arrakan Undead, Children of the Forest, and Barbarians. So, to be honest, if they wanted to make this raid harder, I would have swapped this around, given you more options at the bottom, less options at the top, but I guess that's good. Giving new players the best chance of getting as many rewards as possible. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. You want people to get into the game. So then you have this light bluish color. You've got the Dragonkin, Arrakan Undead, Children of the Forest, Barbarian, and then the final boss, which is Stealthy, coming in with Dragonkin, Arrakan Undead, Children of the Forest, and Barbarian. So once you get past this line up here, everything becomes the same. Every player in your clan is going to be able to use the same heroes to clear these final nodes. So pretty straightforward raid. Isn't too difficult. The lane is pretty standard. You're just going to have 2 players move out to the side here. But you have a lot of option. I believe you can't have 10 people joining these raids. I think it's 8 from what I can remember. But yeah, still all the same, pretty straightforward. Shouldn't have too much issue. Next up, we have Gates of Doom 2, which requires 13,000 portal stones to enter, and the raid itself has 6 points of entry, but as you can see, it all kind of narrows into the top, so it becomes easier as you progress through. Just watching that these 2 lanes are covered here, you should be pretty fine. The outside lanes all come in, and yeah, you should be able to split up and help as you move along. So starting off at the bottom of the raid, you have the green and the blue, with the green, the right side having demons, dwarves, and Arrakan Undead, with the opposite side having kobolds, wild elves, and Arrakan Undead. So at this point of the game, I don't see a lot of players having really strong wild elves, but if you do, those should be able to carry you through most of this raid. They are very powerful, good sustainability, good damage. They should be doing pretty well. Dwarves, bit of a letdown. They're not strong. Unless you've got Hargrim, which is a decent healer, tanky, decent healer early on, it's going to be hard. You'd probably be relying more on Arrakan Undead and Demons than the Dwarves. They're not going to do too much good for you. This side seems a lot easier. Kobolds, Wild Elves, definitely good. And Arrakan Undead, I mean, if you somehow happen to have Blood Emperor, I don't know how you would, but if you did, you'd be laughing. Moving up into the next stretch, we have the 2 bosses, Succubus and Soothsayer, which follow the side of the raid they are on. So if you've got this side, you'll have the Wild Elves for the Succubus, yep, and on this side, the green side, you'll have the Dwarves. So yeah, just watch out for that. Soothsayer being able to bomb, may be strong against the Arrakan Undead. Demons, Dwarves should be okay against her. Moving into the next tier of the raid, you are going to find that you have Rarachni, Dwarves, and Arakan Undead on the right side, High Elves, Wild Elves, and Arakan Undead. So it just seems like the left side has it a lot easier if you've got the heroes needed. The right side, unless you've unlocked the Irizit, I think her name is the boss of the bugs, which you wouldn't have if you're at this level of raiding, unless you got super lucky on a chest. That would make this raid really easy for you, really easy. Very hard hero to unlock though, so eventually you'll get her, and if you're in this raid, yeah, maybe next raid, but who knows. So yeah, again, the teams become slightly better here, and it's the same with the bosses. You've got Aratar and Tricky. I feel like you're not going to have too much trouble with these heroes as bosses. Then moving up into the final section of the raid, you have High Elves, Wild Elves, Rarachni, and Dwarves. So this is where everything combines, and across the board, all players can use the same heroes. Good selection of heroes, and the bosses, Danae and Kashat, which are considered the same in strength. You have High Elves, Wild Elves, Rarachni, and Dwarves. So pretty good coverage at the top here. As long as you've got some... I mean, even the High Elves at this point in the game would be pretty decent. It's just getting them that's the difficult part. Unless you get some real good RNG and some Indigo chests, you're going to probably be relying maybe on High Elves, Rarachni, and Dwarves, mainly these two factions. Overall, an okay selection of heroes. Look at your members. The left side has it a lot easier than the right side with the right heroes. Moving into Gates of Doom 3, we're going to require 16,000 portal stones to open this, and as you can see there is 4 points of entry, but this raid you need to be careful on making sure that the right players span out, wing out as far as possible, getting these nodes out on the side. That is essential if you are pushing for a high percentage. And going into the teams, you will see that there are 3 different sections. At the beginning, you've got the left side, the middle, and the right, all requiring different levels of heroes. So starting on the right-hand side, we've got Rarachni, Demons, Mercenaries. In the middle, you have Rarachni, Demons, Children of the Forest. And on the left-hand side, Kobolds and Roland allies. So you're losing a faction. That's a pretty decent amount of heroes you're losing. So again, seems like the left-hand side has it a bit tougher than the rest. Children of the Forest, if you've got these, you're going to fly straight through the middle. You shouldn't have too much of an issue. I can't remember off the top of my head what the mercenary faction is. Is it the faction that runs with Danae? I cannot remember off the top of my head. But Demons should be okay. You've got Zarp. I mean, great hero, great hero. He's just outshunned by heroes released today, but he will serve you quite well. You can use him on the middle and the right-hand side. Roland allies. You've got your Karana. You've got your Karana. You got Kobolds. This, I feel sorry for this side. Moving into the bosses, okay, you've got Kobolds, Roland allies, Rarachni, Demons, Mercenaries. Moving into the next section of the map, you go from 3 different sections to 2. So this middle part turns to the corresponding side. You've got Rarachni, Wild Elves, Healers of Darkness. Originally, in my first video, I made a mistake. This isn't actually all the Healers of Darkness. This is like 4 random dark heroes. Which is a shame. I mean, a race is in there. And then on the other side, you've got... just look at the comparison. Dragonkin, Demons, and Children of the Forest. I mean, you're moving into mid to late game at this point of the game. These are potentially heroes you have. And if you do, you're going to be breezing past this. I mean, these are great selection of heroes to use compared to the other side that gets Rarachni, Wild Elves, and Healers of Darkness. It's real rough. That's a rough difference. Okay, they should have put Children of the Forest down here, Healers of the Darkness up there. So again, that's something you're gonna have to watch out for your members. because this is a big difference, especially in the level of heroes you get in these groups. The bosses are the same. Their side matches their... So Stealthy is on the right-hand side, so he matches these heroes. The Rarachni Wild Elves, Healers of Darkness, and the Balara, which I don't think would be a hard boss. Sure, she's probably going to hit heavy, but I mean, her kit is useless unless she's got a Danaer. So that's going to be her only advantage, is she's being buffed to hit heavier than normal. Moving into the final section of the map. And I think I have made a mistake here, because that should not be that color. But I'll fix that up. I'll double check that. Moving into the final section of the map here, we have Kobolds, Wild Elves, and Children of the Forest. So combination of both sides joining together. You can use these heroes across the entire board. And same with the bosses, Softy and Oraheim. And that's a solid selection of heroes, mainly Children of the Forest and Wild Elves. Kobolds, the only reason you're going to be using them is because you've trained them for your rock event. That's essentially it. But if you got them, you've got them. Don't throw them away because you want to use weaker versions of these heroes over stronger versions of these heroes. It's a raid. Use what you've got to get as far as you can. I'll look into this little note here. That shouldn't be that color. I'll fix that before I post it in my Discord server. Okay, moving into the final map. Gates of Doom 4 requires 18,000 portal stones, and the map layout is pretty simple. There is an odd 7 entry points with your 10 members, so you could potentially have 3 floaters. Looking at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As you can see, the beginning section and middle section is split into 3 different groups, requiring similar heroes moving up, with the combination coming at the end where all groups join together. So let's go over it. Starting on the right hand side, you have Dragonkin and Retribution squad to clear these nodes. So pretty decent squads. You should be able to clear a fair amount with the Dragonkin, throwing out your Fire Art and maybe throwing in someone from the Retribution squad, or using Fire Art. Fire Art isn't a horrible character. What makes him horrible is he doesn't stand up to competitive meta squads in PvP. PvE though, if you're using the Fight On manual, you may have a different story. So pretty good selection. Moving into the middle part, you have Dwarves, groups of villains, and harbingers of Dawn. So interesting selection here. Your Dwarves, if you've been playing the game long enough, shouldn't be horrible, because you may have Chorin. But, I mean, you're going to have to make do with what you've got with this group. This seems like the hard group to be using. And on the left-hand side, you've got Orcs and Children of the Forest. 2 exceptional factions to be using, especially in a raid. Orcs with their arcane leadership ability to reduce damage by 70% below... I think it's 33%. This always confuses me. I'm going to say 33% HP is one of the strongest abilities, I think, in the game. So that's going to do very well, especially when you're able to use Children of the Forest, and you could probably mix and match a Lucky into that team somehow. So yeah, this and this side, you've got these heroes, especially those later clans, those later players. You should be fine. This first part of the raid should be a cakewalk, except for the middle part. People may have trouble with the middle part. Luckily enough, it's the start of the raid. These are the easiest nodes. Moving up to the bosses, we have 3 bosses. We have the Chorin, a guard, 7 knives. So really interesting selection of first bosses. We've all come across a Chorin boss before. Very powerful, especially if you go on Dragonkin. Yeah, you heal. I don't know if it's going to be the same type of strength as the Chorin in Raid 5, what is now Raid 5, where you heal once, and that Stone Rain is going to wipe out your characters. So just be careful here. You may be able to bypass him by not healing at all. He'll do very little damage. You should be able to take him out. The Arakan Guard shouldn't be a hard boss to fight. 7 Knives, however, as a boss character, not looking forward to that. I'd be more scared of him out of all these bosses. And to be honest, you've got the worst selection of heroes to be using against him. So that's going to be interesting how you go against that. Moving into the middle section of the map, on the right-hand side, you got Barbarians, Forest Shamans, Mercenaries. Barbarians are a good faction. Raid-wise and PvE-wise, they're quite bad. Simply because they rely on taking damage for you to get the most damage out. You don't really want to run healers with Barbarians. It almost defeats the whole team because every time you heal, you lose a stack of that damage increase. So Barbarians going up against wave after wave after wave of enemies, they fall apart quite quickly. So it'll be interesting. I mean, if you've got them, you've got them. They're still strong. Just, yeah, it's going to be difficult a little. In the middle, we have Ra'Arachni, Forest Shamans, Harbingers of Dawn. Nothing stands out, though. A lot of clans in this raid that did fire gates 4 and were able to get above 60% for each raid. Not many people would have Irizit, but people would be getting close now to unlocking her. I know the next fire gates isn't for another month and a bit, but the moment you unlock Irizit, any raid that requires bugs is going to be fairly easy because she is a very powerful character. I plan to do some videos on her spotlighting how powerful she actually is. So, maybe difficult for this raid. After this raid, should become a lot easier. On the left-hand side, you've got Orcs and Abyss Slaves. Throw the Abyss Slaves away, use your Orcs, why not? Unless, of course, Orcs are not easy characters to get, then rely on your Abyss Slaves. A late game character doing this raid, a late game player doing this raid definitely has Abyss Slaves. You need them to get artists, so you've got them. If you don't have them, I don't see you being at this point of the game. I just don't, I'm sorry. I just don't see how you could get to this part of the game without having artists unlocked. Your bosses are Kambudo, Sindariel, and Mabe. So Mabe, potentially a difficult boss, but you do have Orcs, so it might be okay. Sindariel, yeah. Kabuto, yeah. 2 kind of easiest bosses, with Mabe being probably the hardest, but good selection of heroes there. Now moving into the final section of the raid. We have the Warriors of Light and Retribution Squad all the way up for all 3 bosses, which all no, they do not all share the same strength. That's my bad. Gloriana is significantly stronger than the rest. Now, what I have noticed with this last section of the raid, this way upwards, is these nodes seem extremely difficult to beat. They contain heroes of 7 arcane stars, gear levels 12 and 11, level 90. These waves and these heroes are going to be... You're going to need a lot of heroes to get through this. And I feel like that's why they've kind of funneled it up. So you get past this part and then everyone's going to be working together to clear this. So that is what you are going to be. This is going to be very difficult, a very difficult section of the raid. Now, what we need to notice here as well is this being the hardest lane of the raid, but has one straight funnel up the top, is you do have the option to funnel players in through these ports on the side to help players if they need it on here. On the left-hand side, can be completed with a minimum of 2 players. This side can be completed with a minimum of 2 players as well. You do need more down here, but we're talking just purely up the top. So if you're going for 100%, 60% doesn't really matter. 100% strategy. You would get to this node, you would stop your players, and you would see how many can clear this one at a time, and then any remaining you would funnel into the middle and go for that Gloriana, who would be substantially harder than the other bosses. Mind you as well, you do have these 2 nodes here that do need to be cleared, which will require 1 player to be moving this way and 1 player to be moving this way to complete those nodes, or there's no chance of 100%. So keep that in mind, those need to be completed. Other than that, this raid is pretty straightforward. You've got these little sides on you got these little things on each side. Make sure a player clears those. You should be fine. Again, very straightforward. probably one of the simpler R4 raids in the game, to be honest. It's just the difficulty of these nodes that's going to be the real challenge. But those are all the maps for Gates of Doom. Hopefully they help you if you have not got maps already. Like I said, they are in the Discord server, my Discord server. Join through the link in the description. They will be in the announcement channel. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.